Okay, I think I've just about recovered enough from game one to have a look at game two. Game two on Eternal Empire, we've got Firesrest, Red Terran in the top right of this map, Biggels, purple Terran in the bottom left. So last time, Biggles went for a proxy and didn't really pan out. Not the way you'd hope it would. Firesrest doing an interesting no SCV opening here. Just as I said, of course, the SCV starts. Still a bit weird though. That's all right. Okay. Yeah. What's gonna happen this time? So Firesrest sending this worker out to look for proxies, which is very wise. Based on the last game though, he hasn't checked over here, and maybe he should. Firesrest with the early gas is just two workers in gas, but is going to have that early income. And as it turns out, Biggles has got a reasonably quick gas as well. So the complete wall off over here is fine. Again, why no SCVs in production? If there's one thing I can't emphasize enough, for the first several minutes of the game, there shouldn't be a time when there aren't workers building. It's as simple as that. You need that income. You've got to have money to build stuff. If you don't have money, you can't build stuff. I think that's how it works. I'm just mucking about with the zoom. It still seemed quite zoomed in, but that's because I'm in Bose and I'm viewing this on the most absurdly sized screen you can picture. I don't know, what is this, like a 60-inch screen or something like that. So it's a Reaper is going to come out from Firesrest. If you watched the first game, you'll know that he managed to get 8 kills with the Reaper in the first game or something like that, which did extremely well. Hopefully we're not going to see that again, because it's just a travesty. Biggles, Biggles is building a turret over here. I don't why. This turret, which is going to protect this whole area. This whole area from banshees or whatever else. So I pity the banshee that comes in and tries to harass these mineral patches. But obviously, if Firesrest swings into the mineral line over here, he can have a good time with his banshee because this turret's miles away. This SCV, he's checking this area, and I don't really know what's happening. So, Ghost Academy. Biggles, a big fan of the nuke and does go for another Ghost Academy. Has in fact cut workers at the 2.5 minute mark. Just what? Oh dear, it's happening again, isn't it? Build workers, please. You only got 8 workers mining. Why aren't you building workers? Here comes the Marine. Here comes the Reaper, and straight away he's going to kill this guy. These Marines are just going to stand and watch from a distance. He's going to get a couple of shots off on the turret so that when he comes in with the Banshee later, he will be in a position to shoot these mineral patches. The Reaper goes down in the most miserable fashion. Having only secured, did it get a second SCV, nor did just the one SCV? So a much more successful Reaper defense, and that's progress. That's a fantastic amount of progress. The early engineering bay presumably was so that he could build this turret. There's no upgrades coming out of that just yet. The Reaper for Firesrest, of course, what it has achieved is vision. Look, he sees stuff. He knows his opponent has gone for this very early Ghost Academy. I mean, if you see a Ghost Academy this early in the game, it only means one thing. It means they're going to try probably a nuke drop, is what I would expect. Because most people defend the front door. You can't just walk in through the front door. So, medevac over here, Ghost, nuke. That's what I would expect to happen. As it turns out, it's not going to be a drop. I don't think. There's no Stargate. Is there actually a ghost on the map? No. So cloaking underway. If you are trying like a really fast nuke or something, you do have to build the ghost good and early, because remember that the longer the ghost stands around for idle, the longer the ghost idles for, the more energy it's got, so the longer it can stay cloaked. So you want that ghost out as soon as you can, really. So there's a Liberator in production, so hopefully we're going to see a little bit of Liberator harass around the back there. The medevac is out, and he's got a small smattering of Marines, but this is a well-positioned siege tank up on the high ground. Just as I say that, he decides to move it. I don't know why. I'd have left it there. It's a great position for a siege tank. You know, the range of that siege tank covers this whole area, so anything coming at you is going to take a bad beating. With the siege tank at the front here, I mean, yes, it covers the same area, but it can now be focused on. You can now stim in and shoot that, whereas while it's up here, you don't have sight of it. It's much harder to get to. It's great. This Marine just on a scouting pattern, and I have to commend Firesrest for, you know, we saw in the last game as well, he does scout around the place. He does send stuff out and just check for weird things outside of his own base, and that is you know, it's just good practice. It's a good thing to do, just as a matter of course, as part of your build. Biggles would love to see an expo. We're well past the 5-minute mark. This SCV's been chilling out down here for a long while, and hasn't yet sort of shown any signs that it's going to plant an expo. The Ghost Academy was finished up a long time ago. There's still no ghosts actually even in production, you know, which begs the question, why would you build a Ghost Academy at 3 minutes when at the 6-minute mark you still don't even have any ghosts? Unless you're trying to fake out your opponent. And if you are trying to fake out your opponent, why would you research cloak? So the nuke is under production. So we've got this drop, and in addition this Liberator looking to get some hurt on. Look, there's a third building for Firesrest, and still this SCV is just standing there like a goon. Still 6.5 minutes, Biggles, and you haven't saturated your men. You've only got 12 workers mining minerals, 4 in gas. I mean, you cannot win a game of StarCraft doing that. To be fair though, Firesrest not doing brilliantly either in terms of saturation. I think he was saturated but has pulled workers to build things. You know, but how are you going to have the income to do stuff if you just don't build any workers? So this turret is going to have a great time, and does. These guys just decide to park there. Yeah, whatever. Okay. I don't know about trying to force this. It's a shame the turret was focusing the Liberator, because really you wanted to focus the medevac. That medevac is worth so much more. You know, because it's full of Marines. Like one more shot and that was dead with all the Marines on board. And that would have been an expensive pick-off. That's a 500 mineral pick-off, isn't it? 100 gas pick-off if you get the last hit off on that medevac. But it lives, survives to fight another day, and all of that sort of jazz. So in the production tab, you can see +1 is coming along for both players. The CC finally goes down for Biggles, 7.5 minutes, and the CC in the natural starts to go up. And I'd forgive that if his attention had been elsewhere, putting on some serious hurt on his opponent. But look, he hasn't been across the map.
Additional
you know what I mean?
depots
Oh, wait,
required.
he has. Oh, what? Wait, what? Did he get vision from scans? Was it scans? Yeah, he hasn't actually been across the map, I don't believe. So, finally, a Ghost marches out. The nuke presumably is ready. The cloak is done, and this Ghost is going to go and stand over here for a while. Yeah, these siege tanks coming out again. You know, this high ground position is great. It's a good spot to put defensive siege tanks, but you do need them sieged up. It's almost like magic, isn't it? I say this stuff to a player and they hear me from the future, and it's great. That is like seriously temporal transcendence in my casting. This little guy, he doesn't mind the Ghost. He's a male Karak, as I'm sure you can tell by the colourful plumage. Okay, let's have a looky at what the Ghost can get done. From Firesrest's point of view, he has got the sensor tower, but the Ghost has not cloaked. So the sensor towers don't show the Ghost up while cloaked. So yeah, he's aware that there's something here. But he hasn't responded to that. You know, you can see this is from his point of view. You see the blob. If I see the scan and I see the blob, I'm instantly suspicious. You know, why is this scan happening? What is occurring here? So the Ghost is finally going to run over there. I I don't even know what's happening. The male Karak is still happy days. This ghost is just running about burning energy. Can't make up his mind where to drop the nuke. You know, just drop it somewhere. Drop it anywhere. Doesn't really matter. Just to ditch the nuke. There is a turret here, so he does need to be careful. If he runs into this location, that turret will reveal him. And also this another turret coming down for Firesrest. So Firesrest knows what's up, I think. Oh my goodness. So the nuke is coming. The turret is so close to finish. The siege tank is in position, ready to obliterate this ghost. When the turret finishes up, and it does finish up, and the nuke is coming down, the siege tank is battering away. One more hit. And he successfully slaps the nuke all over Firesrest's stuff and obliterates a huge amount of stuff. Yes. Yes, Biggels. 34 units killed. Bear in mind, one of those units was the Reaper from earlier, but my goodness, didn't that ghost do well. Yeah, you'd think, having killed 30 odd units, you'd have an army advantage, but he doesn't. He doesn't have an army advantage. And why? Why not? Because he just doesn't build stuff. You know, look, the CC still isn't saturated. The natural is getting there, but let's look at the income tab just for the crack. So yeah, as present, Firesrest is doubling the income of his opponent, which isn't quite the dizzy heights of the tenfold advantage that he had in the last game. But look, the fourth is coming down for Firesrest, and Biggels has only recently finished up his natural, which is a planetary no less. No SCVs in production for Biggels. He's decided that 7 in the natural and 10 in the main is enough. So his income will continue to be essentially pitiful. You know, there's very little in production here. He's building a CC, he's building a factory, but where are the units? Where are the units, Biggels? You know, where are the Marines coming out? You've queued these up, and why? Build another factory, build workers. Okay, so Firesrest continuing to amass a reasonable force out the front here, and his army supply is fast approaching double that of his opponent. You know, there's the third factory finished up, so he can produce Thors or whatever he wants, 3 at a time. His income is very soon going to be absolutely superb. He's dropping mules in the third. Look, there are still workers in production here, which is great. And there's upgrades coming. There's all sorts of stuff happening on this side of the map. On the other side of the map, less so. There is another ghost coming out. The third is up. These workers do need rallied. You need to do something about them, because otherwise you don't get an income from them. You've got workers standing idle over here as well. There's one over here standing idle. He's just about to finish up here and presumably will then just relax after a hard day's supply depot building. So, you know, if he just gets some of these idle workers to work, even that would help. Again, it's like he can hear me. Look at them go. Right. So these guys are just going to hang out in the corner there. What is this? You know, so this looks like a productive base. We've got a lot of racks, we've got a lot of starports, we've got a lot of factories, we've got stuff that can build things. This base, there's 2 racks, there's 1 factory, there's 1 starport. Less productive. Now, all of this stuff moving out. There are a lot of siege tanks here, and if this stuff tries to come through a choke into this many siege tanks, it will get... I mean, trust me, even though it's a huge army advantage, I would not like to try and push the issue against this many siege tanks. But with that said, they're not sieged up. So Biggels needs to get these sieged up. He desperately needs to have these sieged. And this stuff will just take such a bad fight coming through here. Biggels moving about the place. Does he know about this? Does he know that this is there? My suspicion is he doesn't. If he did, these siege tanks would be already sieged up in positions here and here and here. You want them nice and spread out. You don't want your own siege tanks suffering from splash damage for anything. You want a nice sort of concave. You want room between them for your marines to filter through, and all of those sorts of cool things. So, army supply, yeah, more than double. Firesrest very sensibly thinks better of moving through this area. That is a horrible, horrible choke to try and attack through. So he's going to come up in this direction. Does Biggels know about this yet? He does not. The Ghost is going to... if he did know about it. The Ghost is going to see it. And similarly, Firesrest watches the Ghost walk past. The Ghost is going to get a roast in. Will it cloak in time? It does cloak. So you just hear there, Firesrest hits the 200 supply mark. Oh, the nuke could be deadly, but this Raven is going to reveal the Ghost, and surely this doesn't land. Surely this doesn't land. Never doubted it. So Firesrest cleans that up quite handily. So I'm not sure why he's pulling back, really. So this is defensible. These SCVs, you're killing me with this. Let's have a look. Okay, Biggels is getting there on the income tab. He's getting there. He's currently supply blocked, I guess. So he isn't actually building anything at present. These siege tanks need to be sieged up. You need these siege positions. This bit is not going to survive. I don't think there's anything you can do to assist with that. Do not do this. This is suicide, surely. So no siege up from the siege tanks, and so it just becomes a number game. The siege tanks in the high ground are doing superb work. I know it doesn't register any kills, but that splash damage is just softening everything up so much. So these high ground siege tanks do well. But just think of the difference it would have made if instead of 3 siege tanks sieged up, there had been however many there was on that low ground. If there had been 10, it would have obliterated this ground army, obliterated it. So Firesrest is happy to just siege up at range and just pound away at this. The good news for Biggels is he's no longer supply blocked, so production can return. He's building Vikings, some Vikings. It's hard to see what Vikings are going to do against this army. Liberators, I wouldn't have minded saying. The siege tank on the high ground is good, but ultimately, you've got 100 supply more army than your opponent. No amount of high ground and cleverness could save you. The one thing that could, of course, is a well-placed nuke. Now, does Firesrest know about it? Does he see the red spot? I don't know if he does. It doesn't matter. The Ravens with the vision kill the Ghost before the nuke ever lands. So there is no savior nuke to come down and end this. And it is surely GG. So no proxy this time. But Biggels just gets massively outproduced by his opponent. There were signs of improvement. The way he dealt with the Reaper was substantially better. He did manage to get a nuke off in his opponent's base. He did have turrets in position to defend against Banshee harass and those types of things in the end. This sort of saltiness I don't really approve of. There's just no point in this. So you're not going to come back from here. Does have quite a lot of minerals in the bank at last. But it just doesn't matter, Firesrest's at 190 supply and you've got nothing. There's no way back into this game, so Firesrest correctly just following these, chasing them down and waiting for them to land. What he could do with is something that flies, just to make sure of it. But there is the GG. Biggels taps out and it's Firesrest that goes 2-0 up and will go through to the quarterfinals. GG.